Welcome everyone. In this video, I'll talk about using Camera Raw as a filter in Photoshop, why you would do so, and how. When you open a RAW file, it automatically opens in Camera Raw because RAW files have to be processed through it before we can work with them in Photoshop. However, there are so many powerful editing tools in Camera Raw that it's beneficial to use it not just for RAW files, but also JPEGs and other photo files. Furthermore, we can do so at any point in our workflow, not just when we first open the file. We'll use Camera Raw as a filter anytime our document is already open in Photoshop. In this postcard project I'm working on, I've decided that I want to intensify the colors in the photo and draw even more attention to the horse by darkening the surrounding area. Camera Raw has the tools to do this easily, but I've already added text in a border, so I don't want to have to throw this work away and go back to my original RAW file. Instead, I'll use the Camera Raw filter. With the photo layer selected, I could immediately go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and do my work. I'll just bump up saturation really quickly for a moment, and I'll hit OK. But once I do this, my changes are baked into the photo, so I can't easily undo them if I change my mind as I continue working here. I'll go to Edit, Undo to undo this work, so I can show you a better non-destructive way. I'll first convert this photo layer to a smart object by right-clicking or control-clicking if you have a one-button mouse on the layer name rather than on the photo thumbnail, and choosing Convert to Smart Object. Now with this photo layer selected, I'll go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Notice that I'm just working on the photo layer, not the entire document, so we don't see the text in border. I'll start by increasing saturation and vibrance to intensify colors in the photo. Next, to darken the area surrounding the horse, I'll use the radial filter tool. I'll click on it, and then I'll specify negative exposure for darkening. Notice that nothing is happening in the photo at this point because I'm saying what, but I haven't yet said where. Now I'll click and drag from the center of the area that I want to affect. Now that I can see the exposure change, I can adjust the amount to taste. Notice down at the bottom here that I'm choosing for the darkening to happen not inside the filter, but rather outside. I can adjust the feathering to make it fade out subtly on the edges. Finally, I really don't want to darken this line of sunlight, so I'm going to use a really cool feature to subtract it from what the filter is darkening. I'll click on Brush, make sure it's set to Subtract, adjust my brush size, and I'll just paint away that line of light. If I click on the mask box, you can see now exactly what's being darkened, just what's red on the mask. I'll turn the mask off again, and I'll click on this slider icon so you can see before, and then I'll click on it again so you can see after. Notice that by toggling before and after, my filter is no longer active. If I want to adjust it further, I need to click on the pin to activate it. I'm happy with it at this point though, so I'll hit OK. Back here in the Layers panel, we now have a smart filter because we converted the layer to a smart object. At any time, I can turn off the work I did with the Camera Raw filter by clicking on the eye. I could also drag the filter to the trash to delete it. And most importantly, I can double-click on it to get right back into Camera Raw where I can modify any of the work I've done. So let's go back into the radial filter, click on the pin for the filter that I drew to activate it, and adjust the exposure just a little bit more. Now I'll hit OK again. You can run the Camera Raw filter on any pixel or image layer in your document. So if, for example, you have multiple layers that you're creating a composite with, you could adjust each one individually using a Camera Raw filter. Now one thing to keep in mind is that smart objects will increase the size of your file because Photoshop is embedding a copy of the original unedited photo layer within your document. This is why you can always undo your work. If file size is a concern for you and you're confident you won't need to undo or change your work, you can right-click on the name of your layer and choose Rasterize Layer to convert it to a regular image layer. I hope you've enjoyed this video on using Camera Raw as a filter, and I encourage you to watch more of these tutorials.